Close your eyes, dear dreamer. Let the weight of the day slip from your shoulders like sand through an hourglass. Tonight, we're not staying here. Not in this moment, not in this place. Tonight, we are travelers, explorers of the impossible, archaeologists of wonder, cartographers of mystery. Imagine finding an ancient map, rolled tight and sealed with wax that crumbles at your touch. The parchment is soft, yellowed by time, marked with places that shouldn't exist. Cities that sank, temples that vanished, armies sculpted from clay, libraries written in languages no one remembers. This map doesn't tell you where to go. It reveals where wonder still lives. And tonight, we'll follow it together. Slowly, gently, one whispered story at a time. Let your breathing settle, let your muscles soften. We have all the time in the world. After all, we're about to wander through places where even time forgot to move. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Before we set off, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And what time is it in your part of the world? And if you'd like to keep exploring dreams like this together, don't forget to subscribe. Picture this, you're standing in a desert, not the scorching, hostile kind, but the soft, quiet kind. The kind where the sand glows amber in the fading light, where the air tastes of dust and distant rain, where silence wraps around you like a warm blanket. You're in Egypt, but not the Egypt of today. You're in the Egypt of whispers and shadows, where the wind carries voices from thousands of years ago. Before you, rising from the golden earth like prayers made solid, stand three triangles. Perfect, impossible, ancient beyond measure. The Great Pyramids of Giza. You approach slowly. Your feet leave shallow prints in the sand. The sun is setting, painting everything in shades of honey and rust. The pyramids don't tower over you. They don't need to. They simply are, with a presence so absolute that all you can do is breathe and wonder. Run your hand across the stone. It's warm from the day's sun, rough as old bone, solid as the earth itself. This single block weighs more than most houses, and there are millions of them, stacked with such precision that you couldn't slide a playing card between most joints. How? The question forms in your mind, but you let it drift away. Some mysteries are more beautiful when they stay mysteries. Let's walk around the base. It takes time. The pyramid's shadow is cool, a relief from the lingering heat. You notice the perfect alignment with the cardinal directions. North, south, east, west. You notice the subtle curve of the faces, so slight you can barely see it, designed to catch the light just so at dawn and dusk. You think about the people who built this, not slaves as old stories claimed, but workers, farmers during flood season, when their fields were underwater and they needed purpose, needed community, needed to be part of something greater than themselves. Imagine them here 20, 30, 40 years into the project. Grandfathers who began as young men, children who grew up in the shadow of rising stone, generations linked by limestone and determination and a shared belief that this mattered. What did they talk about as they worked? Did they sing? Did they argue about the best way to move a block, the way we argue about the best route home? Did they tell jokes, fall in love, dream their own dreams under these same stars? You settle down on the sand, your back against the ancient stone. The sun has set now, and the sky is that perfect shade of deepening blue, the color of forget-me-nots and distance. Stars begin to appear, one by one, like lights turning on in windows across a vast city. The pyramid behind you is older than those stars appear to us. Well, not literally. The stars are ancient beyond measure, but the light from some of them began its journey before this pyramid was built. You're sitting against a structure that has watched the universe unfold, photon by photon, sunset by sunset, for longer than most civilizations have existed. Inside this pyramid, there are chambers, passages, a granite box that may have once held a pharaoh named Khufu, though his body has never been found. There are shafts that point to specific stars, Orion's belt, associated with Osiris, Sirius, linked to the goddess Isis. These weren't randomly placed. They were cosmic doorways, spiritual highways, built with such astronomical precision that we're still piecing together how they calculated it. But you don't need to go inside tonight. The mystery is enough. The presence is enough. You lie back on the sand now, gazing up at the stars. The pyramid is a dark shape in your peripheral vision, grounding you, anchoring you to the earth while your mind drifts among constellations. Did the builders lie here like this? Did they look up and feel what you're feeling? That strange mixture of insignificance and connection. That sense that you're simultaneously impossibly small and impossibly important. The wind picks up, just slightly. It whispers across the sand, across your skin, across 4,500 years. It carries the scent of the Nile, distant and green. life in the midst of all this stone and sand. Your eyelids grow heavy, the stars blur slightly. The pyramid's presence is a lullaby, ancient and patient. Sleep comes slowly here, in the shadow of permanence. And as you drift, you dream of limestone corridors, of priests in linen, of languages you don't know but somehow understand. You dream of builders and pharaohs, of mothers and children, of ordinary lives made extraordinary by shared purpose. You dream of a civilization that said, "We will not be forgotten." And they weren't. Rest now. Let the pyramid watch over your sleep as it has watched over the desert for millennia. You're safe here, in the shadow of giants cradled by history, held by stone. Tomorrow we journey onward. But tonight, Egypt cradles you in its ancient arms. The stone circle, where giants dance in moonlight. You wake to grey light and cool air. The desert has vanished. You're standing in a field, and the grass is wet with morning dew, soaking through your shoes. The air smells of rain and earth and something older. Peat, maybe, or heather on the wind. You're in England now, Wiltshire to be specific. And rising from the misty field before you, a circle of stones stands in patient silence. Stonehenge, even from a distance they command presence. Not aggressive, not towering, just there, solid, timeless. Waiting as they've waited for over 4,000 years. You walk toward them slowly. There's no rush. These stones have stood through countless sunrises. They can wait for you. The mist swirls around your ankles, cool and damp, and you can hear birdsong somewhere distant. Larks, perhaps, or thrushes, the soundtrack of an English morning. As you approach, the scale becomes clearer. These aren't boulders, they're monoliths. The largest stand 20 feet tall, rough-hewn but deliberately shaped. Their surfaces pitted by millennia of rain and wind and frost. Some stand alone, solitary sentinels. Others still wear their lintels, those horizontal capstones that somehow, impossibly, were lifted and placed with such precision that they've remained balanced for thousands of years. You reach the first stone and place your palm against it. It's cold, deeply cold. The kind of cold that comes from being stone in a damp climate for longer than languages have existed. The surface is rough but not sharp, weathered smooth in places by rain and ice and the patient work of lichen. This stone came from somewhere else, not from here. It was brought, through methods we're still debating, across 20+ miles of Neolithic English countryside. Dragged perhaps, rolled on logs, possibly walked, rocked forward in a careful shuffle by teams coordinating with ropes. Why? You step back and look at the arrangement. It's not random. The stones form patterns, circles within circles, horseshoes, alignments. If you stand in just the right place on the summer solstice, you'll see the sun rise directly between specific stones. On the winter solstice, the sunset aligns perfectly with another set. This was a calendar perhaps, an observatory, a way to track the seasons, to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to celebrate. Or it was something more, something we've lost the language to describe. You settle onto the grass inside the circle. The mist is beginning to lift now, evaporating as the sun climbs higher. Though you can't see the sun itself, the sky is that uniform English grey that promises neither rain nor sun, just existence. Close your eyes, listen. The wind moves through the stones with a sound like breathing. Low and constant, the grass rustles. Somewhere, a sheep bleats. Because of course there are sheep. This is England after all. And sheep have been part of this landscape almost as long as the stones. Imagine the people who built this place. They wore skins and woven cloth. They used stone tools. They didn't have writing, didn't have metal, didn't have any of the things we consider essential to civilization. And yet they looked at this landscape and said, "Here, this matters. This is sacred." They returned here, generation after generation. They buried their dead in the surrounding area. They held ceremonies we can only guess at. They watched the sky and understood it in ways we've had to relearn with telescopes and satellites. Some of the stones are smaller, different in color and composition. These are the blue stones, brought from Wales, over 150 miles away. Think about that. Think about the collective decision, the shared belief that required. Imagine the conversation. We need special stones for the sacred place. There are stones here. No, not these stones, the blue stones, from the mountains far away. That's very far. Yes, but that's why it matters. And so they went. They brought the stones, probably across water, probably through territories held by other groups, probably losing some along the way, probably arguing about routes and methods, and whether this was all worth it. It was worth it. You open your eyes. The mist has mostly cleared now, and the stones stand clearer against the grey sky. Some are upright, some have fallen, defeated by time and gravity. Some wear their lintels like crowns. Others stand alone, dignified in their solitude. You notice the people buried here weren't just local. Isotope analysis of their teeth shows they came from far away. Scotland, Wales, the Mediterranean. This wasn't just a local shrine. It was a pilgrimage site, a gathering place, somewhere people traveled to be part of something bigger than their daily lives. As you drift towards sleep, you imagine you can hear them, the ancient people who built this place. Their voices are indistinct, their language unknown, but their tone is clear. They're discussing plans, sharing meals, laughing at jokes that have dissolved into time. They're living, which is to say, they're doing exactly what you're doing. Breathing, wondering, trying to make meaning from the mystery of existence. The stones have watched them. The stones watch you now. The stones will watch whoever comes next. And in that continuity, that patient witnessing, there's something deeply peaceful. You're part of a long line of humans who have stood in this circle, looked up at these stones, and felt something stir in their chest. Wonder, reverence, connection, awe. Sleep comes gentle here in this ancient ring. Let it take you. Let the stones stand guard. Let the centuries flow around you like water around rocks in a stream. When you wake, we'll journey onward. But for now, rest in the stone circle, where time moves slowly and giants dance in moonlight, though you can't see them in the grey morning. They're there. They're always there. The desert canvas, where giants drew dreams in sand. You wake to a different kind of stillness, hot and dry but not oppressive. The air shimmers with heat, but there's something crisp about it, clarifying. When you open your eyes, the sky is so blue it almost hurts. That deep, clear blue you only get in deserts, where there's no moisture to soften the color. You're in Peru now, the southern coast, where the Pacific whispers in the distance and the land stretches flat and rust-colored toward the Andes. And beneath you, carved into the earth itself, are lines. Miles of lines, shapes, images so vast you can barely comprehend them from the ground. The Nazca lines. You're standing on one now, though you didn't realize it at first. It's a perfectly straight line, cutting across the desert floor, stretching from horizon to horizon. The stones have been moved aside, revealing the lighter earth beneath, creating a contrast that has lasted over 1,500 years. How is that possible? You crouch down, running your fingers through the pebbles at the line's edge. The answer is simple and profound. It doesn't rain here, almost never. This is one of the driest places on Earth, and that dryness has preserved these drawings, these geoglyphs, longer than most civilizations have existed. You walk along the line, it doesn't waver, it doesn't curve. It simply goes straight as intention, clear as purpose. You follow it until you lose perspective, until you can't tell if you've walked 10 minutes or an hour. Then the line ends, or rather it joins something else. The shape changes, curves, broadens. You're standing on the edge of something bigger now, but you can't tell what. A shape too large to see from ground level. You need to go higher. In your dream, because this is a dream after all, a sleeping journey through wonder, you rise. Gently, like a bird catching a thermal, you lift above the desert floor. 10 feet 20, 50, 100, and now you see, below you, etched into the rust-colored earth in lines of pale gold, is a hummingbird. Vast, perfect, its wings spread wide, frozen mid-flight, its needle beak extended. The bird is longer than a football field, every line crisp and clear, every curve intentional. You drift higher and more shapes reveal themselves. A spider, anatomically precise, sprawling across the desert. A monkey with a curled tail, playful even in stone and sand. A condor, wings outstretched. Geometric shapes, triangles, spirals, trapezoids stretching for miles. And the lines, hundreds of lines, cutting across the plateau in every direction, intersecting, overlapping, creating a web of intention across the landscape. Who made these? The Nazca people, flourishing here between 500 BCE and 500 CE. They lived in a harsh environment, this thin strip of land between ocean and mountain, where water was precious and survival required ingenuity. And yet they took time, years, decades, generations, to create art they could never fully see. Art meant to be viewed from the sky, from the realm of the gods, from a perspective they could only imagine. Why? You drift lower now, settling back onto the desert floor, into the center of the hummingbird's wing. The sun is warm on your face but not hot. It's that perfect desert temperature, dry heat that doesn't tire you, just wraps around you like a warm towel. You lie down on the ancient line, feeling the earth beneath you, still warm from the day. The sky above is that impossible blue, with a few clouds scattered like afterthoughts. Maybe the lines were prayers, maybe they were astronomical markers, maybe they pointed to water sources, those precious underground rivers that meant life in the desert. Maybe they were walkways for rituals, sacred paths that people followed in ceremony, connecting earth to sky through movement and intention. Or maybe, and this is the thought that settles over you like peace, maybe the making was the meaning. Maybe the act of creation, the communal effort of clearing stones, of marking lines, of coordinating across generations to maintain these images, maybe that was the prayer itself. Not a prayer for something, but a prayer that was something. An offering of human effort to the mystery of existence. You think about the spider, with its reproductive anatomy so precisely drawn, you need a microscope to see those details in real life. Someone studied spiders. Someone looked close enough, cared enough, to get it right in a drawing hundreds of feet across. You think about the monkey, its spiral tail perfect, mathematical. Someone understood spirals, understood the golden ratio that appears throughout nature, in shells and galaxies and the human ear. These weren't primitive people. They were observers, artists, mathematicians, dreamers who looked at a blank desert and saw a canvas. Around you, the desert is waking to evening. Small sounds emerge, insects, distant birds, the whisper of wind across sand. The temperature drops slightly, from warm to perfect, that desert evening temperature that makes you understand why people have loved deserts since humans first walked. Close your eyes now, feel the earth beneath you, still holding the day's warmth. Feel how solid it is, how permanent, how patient. The Nazca people are gone. Their cities are ruins, their language lost, their daily lives vanished into time. But their dreams remain, etched into the earth, visible from the sky, waiting for eyes that could finally see them. You are seeing them. Even now, with your eyes closed, you can feel them. The lines, the shapes, the vast designs that speak of something beyond survival, beyond necessity. They speak of the human need to create meaning, to leave marks, to say, we were here, and we saw beauty, and we made something beautiful in return. Your breathing slows. The desert evening wraps around you like a blanket. Somewhere far away, a bird calls, maybe a real hummingbird, feeding on evening flowers, its wings a blur of impossible speed, unknowingly honoring its colossal cousin, drawn into the earth below. Sleep comes slowly here, under the vast Peruvian sky. And as you sleep, you dream of lines extending into infinity, of shapes too large to comprehend, of ancient people looking up and wondering if someone, someday, might look down and see. Someone did, you did. Rest now cradled in the hummingbird's wing. Let the desert hold you. Let the stars emerge one by one in the deepening blue above. Tomorrow, new mysteries await. But tonight, you sleep where art and earth become one, where human hands left marks that time cannot erase. The desert remembers. The desert keeps its secrets. And the desert, patient and vast, watches over your dreams. The sound of waves wakes you, not aggressive waves, not storm-tossed fury, but the gentle rhythmic shush of ocean meeting shore. The eternal conversation between water and land, older than memory. You open your eyes to grass, not the neat manicured grass of parks, but wild grass, windswept and resilient, the kind that grows where few things can. The air tastes of salt and carries the call of seabirds. You're on an island, one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth, Rapa Nui Easter Island, and standing above you, impossibly tall, carved from volcanic stone, is a face. You sit up slowly and the scale becomes clear. This isn't a statue in the way we usually think of statues. This is a moai, a guardian, an ancestor, a presence. It towers 15, maybe 20 feet high, broad-shouldered, heavy-browed, its expression somewhere between stern and serene. It faces inland, away from the sea, watching over the land as it has watched for centuries. You stand and approach it. The stone is grey, porous, volcanic tuff, weathered by salt spray and wind and time. Lichen grows in patches on its surface, adding colour. Pale green, burnt orange, grey-white. The moai's features are strong and simplified. Prominent brow, long nose, thin lips, elongated ears. Some say the ears held knowledge, wisdom accumulated over lifetimes. This one stands alone, but as you look around, you see others. A row of them, 7 in total, standing on a platform of fitted stones. An ahu, the sacred foundation that elevates them, that makes them not just statues, but monuments. These were carved by the Rapa Nui people between 1100 and 1600 CE. They weren't building pyramids or cities. They were creating ancestors. Every moai likely represents a real person, a chief or important leader, someone whose memory the living wanted to preserve and honor. They carved them from the soft volcanic stone at a quarry called Rano Raraku, using harder basalt hand axes. Then came the impossible part, moving them. Statues weighing 10, 20, sometimes 80 tons, across miles of rough terrain to their final positions. How? Recent experiments suggest they walked them, rocking the statues forward using ropes on either side, shuffling them upright in a carefully controlled dance. It's clever, it's possible, it's also exhausting just to think about. But they did it, hundreds of times. Nearly 1,000 moai across this small island, each one a monumental effort, each one saying, "This person mattered. This ancestor watches over us still." You walk along the row of statues. Each face is unique, different features, different expressions, different presences. Some wear pukao, cylindrical top knots of red scoria, like enormous hats. Why? Maybe to signify rank. Maybe as a symbol of spiritual power. Maybe just because it looked impressive. And impressive mattered. The wind picks up, carrying the salt smell of the Pacific. The ocean surrounds you completely here. Thousands of miles of water in every direction. This isolation shaped everything about Rapa Nui. Resources were limited, trees were precious. Every decision had consequences. Eventually, the moai carving stopped. The reasons are debated. Environmental stress, social upheaval, cultural shift. Many moai were toppled, some in earthquakes, others possibly in conflicts between clans. The quarry at Rana Raraku is filled with statues in various stages of completion. Some nearly finished, some barely begun, all abandoned suddenly, like everyone stopped mid-sentence and walked away. You find a spot to sit, a patch of grass between two moai. They flank you like guardians, their shadows stretching long in the late afternoon sun. From here, you can see the ocean, endless and blue, touching the sky at a horizon so distant, it seems like the edge of the world. What did the carvers think about as they worked? Did they know the person they were commemorating? Did they pray as they carved? Did they take pride in getting the proportions just right? In capturing some essence of personality in simplified stone? You lie back in the grass, looking up at the moai's profile against the sky. Its expression from this angle seems contemplative, like it's thinking about something important, like it understands something you don't. The grass is soft beneath you, and the sun is warm. The wind moves constantly here, never still, carrying voices of the ocean and the island's interior. You can hear birds, probably seabirds nesting on the cliffs. Their calls are sharp and clean, cutting through the wind's whisper. Close your eyes and listen to the island's heartbeat. The waves are its pulse, steady and eternal. The wind is its breath, constant and changing. The moai are its memory, stone witnesses to all that has passed. Recent excavations revealed that many of the heads you see scattered around the island actually have bodies, buried beneath centuries of earth and erosion, whole statues, complete with carved backs featuring petroglyphs and symbols, standing taller than anyone guessed, hidden in plain sight. How much else is hidden? How many stories went unrecorded? How many names have been forgotten? But the moai remain, weathered but unbroken, silent but speaking volumes. They say, "We were here, we built, we carved, we remembered, we honored. We believed that memory and stone and ancestral presence were worth the most extraordinary effort." And they were right, because you're here now, centuries later, lying in the grass on a remote island, feeling watched over by giants who've outlasted everything. Storms, invasions, time itself. Your breathing deepens. The sun on your face is warm. The grass beneath you is soft. The moai stands unchanging, and the ocean whispers its eternal song. Sleep comes gentle here, under the gaze of ancestors. These stone guardians have watched over this island for centuries. They can watch over your sleep too. Dream of islands and ocean. Dream of carvers and chiefs. Dream of ropes and patience and the slow walk of stone across earth. Dream of eyes that see in every direction, of wisdom carved into volcanic rock, of memory made permanent. The moai watch. They've always watched, and tonight, they watch over you. Rest, small dreamer, in the shadow of giants. The book of beautiful nonsense, where words become dreams. You open your eyes to candlelight. Soft, flickering, golden. The kind of light that makes everything look older, more mysterious, more real somehow. You're in a library. Not a modern one with fluorescent lights and computers, but an ancient library. All stone walls and wooden shelves. Leather bindings and the smell of old paper, dust, and time itself. On the table before you, bathed in that gentle candlelight, lies a book. It's smaller than you expected, about the size of a modern paperback, but thicker, bound in what looks like vellum. That smooth, pale leather made from calfskin. The pages are hand-drawn, handwritten, every line placed there by human fingers holding a quill, dipping it in ink, making marks. This is the Voynich manuscript, the world's most mysterious book. You reach out slowly, almost reverently, and turn to a random page. The first thing you notice are the plants. Beautiful illustrations, drawn with care and skill, showing flowers and roots and leaves in intricate detail. They look real. They look like they should be identifiable, but they're not. No botanist has ever found a plant that matches these drawings. They're close. This one looks almost like a sunflower. That one resembles some kind of lily, but something is always off. An extra petal, a root system that doesn't quite make sense, a leaf pattern that nature never quite arranged that way. It's like looking at plants from a dream, recognizable but wrong, familiar but impossible. And then there's the text. Oh, the text. It flows around and between the illustrations in neat lines, elegant and consistent. The handwriting is practiced, confident. This person knew what they were doing. They weren't scribbling randomly. But what are they saying? You lean closer, following the strange letters. They swirl and loop, combining in ways that look grammatical, structured, meaningful. There are repeated words. There are variations that suggest tenses or plurals or some kind of linguistic pattern. But no one can read it. Not scholars, not cryptographers, not codebreakers who cracked Nazi encryptions, not artificial intelligence trained on every known language. The Voynich manuscript has kept its secret for over 500 years. You turn more pages slowly. The candlelight makes the illustrations dance, gives them depth and shadow. Here's a section filled with astronomical symbols, circles and stars, zodiac signs, celestial diagrams, but they're arranged in ways that don't match any known astronomical tradition. The months are labeled, but in that same unreadable script. More pages. Now you see something that makes you smile despite yourself. Small human figures, dozens of them, all naked women, bathing in elaborate systems of tubes and pools. They look cheerful, these little women, drawn with simple lines but surprising personality. Some hold hands, some seem to be swimming. The plumbing they inhabit looks biological, almost like veins or intestines, but also architectural, planned, purposeful. What is this, a medieval spa diagram? A symbolic representation of the circulatory system? An alchemical process represented through metaphor? Or just someone's very specific, very strange dream drawn onto vellum? You'll never know. You turn to a section that appears to be recipes or instructions. Jars and containers, more plants, text arranged in short paragraphs like cooking instructions or pharmaceutical directions. Maybe this is a medical text. Maybe these impossible plants are symbolic representations of real healing herbs, encoded to protect valuable knowledge from competitors. Or maybe it's complete nonsense, made to look meaningful, created by someone with too much time and a peculiar sense of humor. But why? Why spend years? Because this clearly took years creating an elaborate fake. The vellum alone was expensive, the pigments were costly, the time investment was enormous, and then it was just kept, passed down, eventually sold to collectors who believed it held secrets. If it's a hoax, it's the most dedicated, expensive, pointless hoax in history. You sit back in your chair, the candlelight warm on your face. The manuscript lies open before you, its secret secure, its mystery intact. Around you, the library is silent, except for the occasional creak of old wood settling, the whisper of a draft moving through high windows. Think about the person who made this. Imagine them sitting much as you're sitting now, hunched over pages, dipping a quill, drawing with concentration and care. They had a mind full of these strange plants, these bathing women, these celestial diagrams. They saw something, whether real or imagined, and they worked to capture it. Did anyone ever read it while they were alive? Did anyone say, "Oh yes, very useful, thank you"? Or did they keep it private, knowing it was too strange, too different, too much their own private language to share? The manuscript has been carbon dated. The vellum is from the early 1400s. That places its creation in a fascinating time. After the Black Death, but before the printing press, during a period when knowledge was precious and carefully guarded, when the line between science and magic was blurry, when alchemy and astronomy shared practitioners, someone in that world created this. Someone with access to good materials and artistic training, someone literate, educated, possibly connected to religious or scholarly institutions. Someone who, for reasons lost to time, wrote a book no one could read. You close the manuscript gently. The cover is worn smooth by centuries of hands touching it, wondering about it, trying to unlock it. How many people have sat where you're sitting, looking at these same pages, feeling the same mixture of fascination and frustration? The candle flickers, sending shadows dancing across the library walls. Outside, you can hear rain beginning to fall. Soft, steady, the kind of rain that makes you grateful to be inside, warm and dry. You rest your head on your arms, using the table as a pillow, the manuscript nearby like a companion. Your eyes grow heavy. The candlelight blurs and softens. As you drift towards sleep, you imagine you can read it. In that space between waking and dreaming, the strange letters begin to make sense. They're telling a story about gardens that grow in moonlight, about women who swim through rivers of stars, about plants that cure homesickness and heal loneliness. It's a beautiful story, impossible and true, written in a language that only exists in dreams. And maybe that's what it always was. Not a code to be cracked, but a dream to be dreamed. Not a message to be read, but a mystery to be wondered at. The manuscript breathes beside you, patient and eternal. It has waited centuries, it can wait forever. Some secrets are meant to stay secret. Some languages are meant to be private. Some books are meant to remain unread. And that's okay, more than okay. That's perfect. Sleep now, dear dreamer, in the library of impossible books. Let the rain fall outside. Let the candle burn low. Let the manuscript keep its secrets. You're safe here, surrounded by mysteries that don't demand solutions, only appreciation. Dream of strange letters and impossible plants. Dream of languages you invent and immediately forget. Dream of books that contain everything and nothing. The Voynich manuscript watches over you, unreadable and content. Tomorrow, more wonders await. But tonight, rest in the presence of the most beautiful nonsense ever created. The clockwork cosmos, where ancient gears turn forever. The sound of water wakes you this time. Not rain, but waves. The specific sound of Mediterranean waves, gentle and rhythmic, lapping against wood and stone. You're on a ship, not a modern vessel, but an ancient one, all wood and rope, sails furled overhead. The deck rocks gently beneath you, a motion that should be unsettling, but instead feels soothing, like being rocked in an enormous cradle. The sun is setting, turning the sea to copper and gold. You're off the coast of some Greek island, sailing toward home with a cargo of treasures, statues, amphorae, bronzeworks, all the wealth of the ancient Mediterranean world. But the greatest treasure lies unnoticed in a corner of the hold, a wooden box, sealed and forgotten. Inside that box, corroded by time and seawater, lies something impossible, a machine, a computer, a device that should not exist for another 2,000 years. But you're not in that ancient time, not quite. You're in the moment of discovery, the point where past and present touch. You're standing in a modern conservation lab, wearing gloves, leaning over a workbench where fragments of bronze and wood lie in careful arrangement. This is the Antikythera mechanism. Even broken, even corroded to green and brown fragments, even incomplete, it's breathtaking. You can see gears, dozens of them. Some no bigger than coins, others the size of saucers. They're toothed, precisely cut, designed to mesh with each other in specific ways. There are inscriptions too. Tiny Greek letters etched into the bronze, instructions or calculations or labels. Sun, moon, Venus. The names of celestial bodies, because that's what this machine tracked, the heavens. Beside you, X-ray images show what the naked eye cannot. Inside the corroded lumps, hidden by 2,000 years of chemical transformation, the gears still exist, complete intact, waiting to tell their story. You pick up one of the larger fragments, carefully, so carefully, and hold it up to the light. Through the patina of time, you can see the precision of the cutting. These teeth aren't roughly hammered out. They're calculated, measured, shaped with understanding of ratios and mechanics. Whoever made this understood gears, understood astronomy, understood mathematics sophisticated enough to model the irregular orbit of the moon. The moon doesn't move in a perfect circle around Earth. It speeds up and slows down, wobbles slightly. Calculating that wobble mathematically is complex. Building a mechanical model that demonstrates it physically is extraordinary. And yet here it is, evidence that someone in ancient Greece around 100 BCE could and did build it. You set the fragment down gently and walk to the wall where a modern reconstruction hangs. This is what it might have looked like complete. A wooden box, about the size of a shoebox, with dials on the front and back. You turn a crank on the side and the dials begin to move, showing the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. showing eclipse predictions, showing the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. It's an analog computer, mechanical and precise, a calculator of cosmos and time. The room around you fades as you imagine the original context. Picture a wealthy Roman merchant commissioning this from a Greek craftsman, or a scholar using it to teach astronomy to students, or a temple priest using it to calculate auspicious days for ceremonies. Picture it being treasured, used, understood. Then picture it being packed away for a journey, loaded onto a ship with marble statues and expensive wine, sailing toward Rome or some other destination. And then the storm, the ship foundering, the crew abandoning ship or going down with it, the cargo settling into the Mediterranean mud, where it would lie undisturbed for over 2,000 years, until 1901, when sponge divers found the wreck and brought up treasures. The statues got attention, the amphoras were noted, the corroded lump of bronze and wood was labelled mechanism and stored in a museum, where it sat for decades before anyone realised what it really was. Now you're back in the lab, but the light has changed, the sun has fully set, and the room is lit by soft artificial light, gentle on the ancient materials. You pull up a chair and sit before the fragments, studying them. Here's what we know. The mechanism had at least 30 gears, possibly more. It was constructed with precision that wouldn't appear again in clockwork until the 14th century CE. It predicted solar and lunar eclipses using the Saros cycle. It modeled the motions of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Here's what we don't know. Who made it? Whether this was one of a kind or one of many? What happened to the knowledge that created it? Why did gear technology seemingly disappear for centuries? How many other such devices existed and were lost? You lean back, closing your eyes, letting the implications wash over you. The ancient world was not primitive. It was not simple. It was filled with brilliant minds, capable hands, people who observed the sky with the same wonder you feel, who wanted to understand and predict and model the cosmos. They didn't have our technology, but they had curiosity and intelligence and patience and skill. And sometimes, that was enough to create something that would still astonish people 2 millennia later. The lab is quiet except for the gentle hum of climate control, maintaining the perfect temperature and humidity to preserve these precious fragments. You feel yourself growing drowsy, the warmth and quiet settling over you like a blanket. You rest your head on your arms, there on the lab table, beside the fragments of an ancient computer. Your breathing slows, your thoughts drift. You dream of workshops in ancient Rhodes or Corinth, of craftsmen bent over workbenches, filing bronze by lamplight. You dream of astronomers charting the sky, calculating cycles, passing knowledge from teacher to student across generations. You dream of a world where science and craft were inseparable, where understanding the cosmos meant building models you could touch, gears you could turn, predictions you could verify. You dream of that moment when someone first cranked the handle and watched the dials move, watched the mechanical planets orbit their mechanical sun, watched the model match the reality overhead, and felt that special thrill. It works. I understand. The universe makes sense. The Antikythera mechanism rests beside you, patient as always. It has waited 2,000 years to tell its story. It can wait a few more hours while you sleep. Rest now, dear dreamer, among the gears of ancient wisdom. Let the cosmos turn overhead while bronze wheels turn in your dreams. Tomorrow brings new mysteries, but tonight, sleep in the knowledge that humans have always looked up, always wondered, always tried to capture the infinite in gears and bronze and understanding. The mechanism watches over you, silent guardian of lost knowledge. Dream of clockwork stars and calculated moons. Dream of precision and patience. Dream of the moment when understanding clicks into place like gear teeth meshing perfectly. The ancient world holds you gently. Time moves in circles and epicycles. And you, small dreamer, rest at the center where all the gears converge. Sleep. The cosmos will still be there when you wake. You wake to darkness, complete darkness. Not the darkness of night, which always holds some ambient light, but the darkness of deep earth, of places the sun has never touched. But you're not afraid. Somehow you know you're safe. You reach out and your fingers touch something solid. Cool, slightly rough. Clay. You're touching fired clay, smooth in places, textured in others, shaped by human hands thousands of years ago. As your eyes adjust, or perhaps as some inner sight awakens, you begin to perceive shapes. You're in a vast underground chamber and you're not alone. Warriors surround you, hundreds of them. Thousands. They stand in formation, row after row, stretching into darkness. Each one is life-sized, each one unique, each one waiting with the patience of clay for orders that will never come. You're in Xi'an, China, deep beneath the earth, in the tomb complex of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of unified China. And these are his terracotta army. You stand slowly, carefully, aware that you're walking among treasures beyond price. The warrior nearest you stands about 6 feet tall, his posture erect, military. His armor is detailed, each plate visible, each fastening modeled. His face is turned slightly to the side, as if listening for commands. You step closer, studying that face. It's extraordinary. This isn't a generic face, a template repeated 1,000 times. This is an individual. He has a specific nose shape, particular eyebrows, a unique set to his jaw. His hair is pulled into a top knot, practical for a soldier. His expression is calm, focused, ready. Was he modeled on a real person? Some scholars think so. Perhaps each warrior represents an actual soldier in Qin Shi Huang's army, immortalized in clay, given the honor of guarding their emperor forever. You move through the ranks slowly, respectfully. Each warrior you pass is different. This one is younger, his face smooth and earnest. That one is older, with lines suggesting experience and maybe weariness. Here's one who seems stern. There's one who might have been smiling before the clay dried. Some wear light infantry armor. Others are more heavily protected, suggesting cavalry or officers. You see archers, crossbowmen, charioteers. There are even horses. Life-sized, muscular, ears pricked as if listening for battle sounds. The detail is astonishing. Fingernails. Individual hair strands now lost but once painted on. The treads of shoe soles. The texture of fabric suggested in clay. These were crafted with care and skill by artisans who took pride in their work. And once they were painted. Bright colors, reds, blues, greens, purples. Each warrior was a work of art, individually dressed, individually equipped, individually presented. The paint has faded now, vanished in seconds when exposed to air after 2,000 years of darkness. But imagine it, an army in full color, banners flying, standing at attention in underground chambers, lit by bronze lamps, filled with whale oil, meant to burn forever. You find a spot to sit, carefully, always carefully, among the ranks. From here you can see down a corridor of warriors, their shoulders creating lines that draw the eye toward infinity. How many are there? 8,000 discovered so far. But the tomb complex is enormous. Much remains unexcavated. There could be 20,000, 50,000. Entire populations rendered in clay. Why? Why did Emperor Qin Shi Huang command this? Because death for an emperor was not an ending, it was a transition. And he intended to transition in style, with full support. An army to protect him, officials to administer, acrobats to entertain, musicians to perform, horses to ride. Everything he needed for eternity, all crafted in clay and arranged in perfect order beneath the earth. It took 700,000 workers nearly 40 years to build this complex. Think about that. Nearly 4 decades of labor, of crafting and firing and painting and positioning. Generations of workers spent their entire careers on this project. Grandfathers, fathers, sons, all working to build one man's afterlife. Was it worth it? The workers might have said no. They labored and died far from home. Many were probably convicts or prisoners. The emperor's vision came at enormous human cost. But here you sit, 2,000 years later, surrounded by their work. And it endures. The warriors stand. The horses wait. The emperor, wherever he is in his sealed tomb, beneath the artificial mountain, remains surrounded by his clay companions. In that sense, the workers achieved something remarkable. Not for the emperor. History remembers him as brilliant but brutal, unifying but unforgiving, but for themselves. Their hands shaped this clay. Their skills created these faces. Their patience fired these forms. They're gone, but their work remains. And that's a kind of immortality too. You lie back slowly, finding space between the warrior's feet. The clay floor is cool and surprisingly comfortable. Above you, the ceiling of the chamber is lost in darkness. Somewhere far above, the modern world continues. Tourists visit, scholars study, cameras flash. But down here, it's quiet, peaceful even. The warriors stand guard. They've stood guard for over 2 millennia. They don't need to rest. They don't need to eat or sleep or complain about long watches. They simply stand patient as earth, waiting. And tonight they watch over you. Close your eyes now. Let the darkness be complete. Let the silence settle like dust. You're safer here than almost anywhere, protected by an entire army, guarded by 10,000 watchful faces, held in the embrace of history itself. Your breathing deepens. The cool air tastes of earth and clay and ancient things. This is what the world smells like when humans aren't constantly moving through it, stirring it up, changing it. This is the smell of stillness, of preservation, of time standing still. Dream of artisans and kilns. Dream of painters with tiny brushes, adding eyelashes one hair at a time. Dream of military formations and strategic planning, of an emperor obsessed with forever, of workers shaping clay into companions for the dark journey ahead. Dream of faces emerging from formless earth, of personality appearing in handfuls of mud, of the moment when something becomes someone, even if that someone is made of clay. The warriors don't sleep. They don't need to. But they understand sleep. They've stood in darkness for 2,000 years, waiting patiently, and patience is its own kind of rest. They wait with you, they watch over you, and in the perfect darkness, in the perfect silence, you are held safe by an army that asks nothing, needs nothing, simply stands and waits and endures. Sleep now, dear dreamer, among the clay soldiers. Let their patience teach you peace. Let their stillness calm your restless thoughts. Let their eternal watch guard your temporary dreams. When morning comes, though morning never reaches here, you'll wake to new wonders. But tonight, you rest in the company of warriors, protected by an emperor's obsession turned guardian angels of terracotta. The army sleeps standing, you sleep lying down. And somehow, deep beneath the earth, far from sun and moon and stars, you're exactly where you need to be. Rest, the clay army keeps watch. They're very good at it. They've had a lot of practice. When you open your eyes, the darkness is different. It's no longer empty. It's aware. Something in the air has changed. The silence you slept in has texture now, as if the shadows themselves are breathing. You sit up slowly, the chill of the clay floor clinging to your palms. The air hums, low, deep, resonant, like the sound of earth remembering something ancient. Then, one by one, you hear it. The faint crack of clay shifting. You look toward the nearest warrior. His head tilts just slightly. The sound echoes. Crack, creep, crumble, spreading through the chamber like a whispered command. Row after row, the soldiers adjust their stance, the subtle grind of terracotta on stone filling the air. For 2,000 years they have waited, and now they're listening again. You don't move, you don't breathe. You just watch. A faint light, greenish phosphorescent, seeps from the cracks in the chamber walls. It outlines every warrior in a ghostly halo. Their faces glow softly, serene and focused, as if awakening doesn't surprise them. It's just another duty, another watch to keep. Then, almost imperceptibly, they turn. Not toward the tomb, not toward their emperor, but toward you. For a heartbeat, you think you should run, but your legs won't move. The fear doesn't come. What you feel instead is recognition. The warriors aren't rising for battle. They're acknowledging you. Maybe they see you as one of them now. Another guardian of time. Maybe this was the emperor's true secret. Not just to be remembered, but to awaken the memory of others. You stand. The light brightens, pulsing with your heartbeat. The air is filled with the scent of old earth, burnt clay, and something electric. And just as suddenly as it began, the movement stops. The sound fades. The light withdraws into the stone. The warrior stands still again, silent, perfect, eternal. Only now you understand. They never truly slept. They were listening, always waiting for someone who could see them, not just as relics of history, but as proof of what humanity can create, endure, and become. You exhale. The silence returns, soft, sacred, complete. And as you walk between the ranks one last time, you whisper a thank you, not to the emperor, but to the hands that shaped these guardians, to the people who made eternity with nothing but clay and fire and faith. You reach the tunnel's end. The faintest glimmer of daylight filters through a crack in the ceiling. You step into it, carrying with you the weight and the wonder of 10,000 sleeping souls. The clay army sleeps again, but now you know they never truly rest. They endure, and maybe so will you. If you felt the earth shift beneath your imagination, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think waits still, deeper beneath the emperor's tomb. Like if you'd join the clay army's eternal watch, and subscribe for more journeys through the dark, the ancient, and the extraordinary. Until next time, the clay wait,